What if I told you? One quiet step out of the darkness, one mask lifted into place, and one look straight into the camera just redefined how we experience BTS. Because this is not just a music video drop, this is not just another performance era, and it's definitely not just Jin looking unreal on screen. No. What's happening right now feels cinematic, almost like you're watching a story unfold that you weren't fully prepared for, and it all begins in silence. In Hooligan, the screen is dim, nearly swallowed by shadow. There's no rush, no chaos, just a slow, deliberate build of tension that you can feel before anything even happens. And then, he appears. Kim Sok-jin doesn't burst onto the screen. He emerges, step by step, controlled, almost eerily calm, like he knows something you don't. The lighting barely reveals him, but somehow that makes it worse, in the best way, because instead of giving you everything, it makes you lean in closer. His presence doesn't ask for attention. It takes it. And then comes the moment that changed everything. The mask. It's such a small action. He lifts it, pauses, and puts it on. But the second it covers part of his face, the entire atmosphere shifts. It's sharper, colder, more dangerous. It's like watching someone step into a different identity in real time. And suddenly you're not just watching Jin perform, you're watching him become something. Something you can't fully define, but you can't look away from either. Because what makes this moment unforgettable isn't just the visual, it's the control. His gaze becomes more precise, his expressions smaller, more restrained, but somehow heavier with meaning. Every micro movement feels intentional, like it's carrying emotion that's just beneath the surface, never fully spilling out, but always there. And that restraint? That's what makes it powerful. Because instead of showing you everything, he makes you feel everything. As Hooligan continues, that quiet intensity doesn't disappear, it evolves. His movements stay minimal, but they become more magnetic. A slight tilt of the head, a shift in eye contact, the way his posture changes just enough to signal a different emotion. It's subtle, but it hits hard. And this is where it stops being just a performance. Because what Jin creates here is a character. A layered, emotionally complex presence that moves through the video like a story without needing explicit explanation. You don't get all the answers, and that's exactly why you stay hooked. Because you're trying to read him, understand him, keep up with every shift in mood. And just when you think you figured it out, the energy changes again. Because Hooligan isn't just about isolation and mystery. It builds, it expands. And suddenly, you're not alone in that dark, controlled world anymore. The scale increases, the choreography intensifies, and now that same restrained charisma is placed inside something much bigger. Because this is where BTS as a group steps in and everything elevates. The formations, the synchronization, the sheer number of dancers moving in perfect alignment. It's overwhelming, but in the most mesmerizing way. And what's incredible is, Jin doesn't get lost in it. He still commands attention. Even surrounded by dozens of moving bodies, your eyes keep finding him. That's presence. That's control. That's star power operating at a completely different level. But here's where things get even more interesting. Because while Hooligan delivers intensity and mystery, it's only one side of what BTS is doing right now. Switch to swim, and suddenly everything softens. The movements flow like water. Smooth, continuous, almost weightless. There's a delicacy there, a maturity. It feels introspective, emotional, like you're watching something deeply personal unfold through motion. And then, 2.0. The energy shifts again. This time, it's sharp, grounded, powerful. Every movement hits with precision, every beat is controlled. It's not just choreography, it's discipline, timing, and narrative all fused together. And the most unbelievable part? These aren't separate identities. This is all BTS, so between softness, intensity, fluidity, and force. Like it's effortless. Like it's natural. Like there are no limits to what they can become on stage. And the world is noticing. The numbers? They're not just impressive. They're explosive. Millions of views within hours. Hooligan crossing massive milestones in less than a day. Swim and 2.0 pulling in millions just as fast. And that poolside live clip? Climbing toward 10 million in a single week. That's not coincidence. That's global attention locking in. Hard. And it's all building towards something that might be even bigger than the videos themselves. The BTS World Tour Ariran. This isn't just a tour. This is an experience designed to surround you. 360-degree stage, meaning no matter where you are, you're inside the performance. Not watching it from afar. Inside it. 85 shows completely sold out. Millions of fans already waiting across continents. Just imagine that for a second. Everything you just saw. The mask, the tension, the fluidity of Swim, the precision of 2.0, the explosive energy of Hooligan. Now multiply that by a live band, a full stage production, and tens of thousands of voices screaming in unison. That's not just a concert. That's electricity. That's connection. That's a moment where the line between artist and audience almost disappears. And maybe that's the real reason this era feels different. Because Jin isn't just performing. He's pulling you into a story. BTS isn't just dancing. They're shifting entire atmospheres. So when the lights go down, when the music starts, when that mask goes on, you're not just watching from the outside anymore. You're already in it, feeling every second. And honestly, that might be the most powerful part of all.